Alright, so the 5th day of December. Fanika had stayed up all night tending her vat of boiling milk and blending her powders in the kitchen at the troll castle. She was looking for just the right combination of a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Finally, as the first rays of morning sun crept into the dingy kitchen, Fanika let out a cry. "I've done it! I've done it! I've made a camouflage powder!" "What's a camouflage powder?" Archibald asked, struggling to pronounce the strange word. "It's a magic powder that lets me disguise myself as another creature." "Why would you want to do that?" "So I can fool the nieces into thinking I'm something else. A bird, a fish, even a niece." "Oh," Archibald said, as though he understood, although he really didn't. "With this camouflage powder," Fanika explained, "I'll be able to take on the shape of a niece named Balto. Then, disguised as Balto, I'll visit Pendulum at the White Palace." She handed the canister to Archibald. "Now stand on that stool and sprinkle this over my head while I say the magic words." Archibald climbed onto the stool and shook the canister. The white sparkling powder felt like snowflakes over Fanika as she recited the spell. "Balto, Balto is his name, make me look just the same." Soon she was completely covered. "You look like a snowman," Archibald said. "How will you get a niece handbook looking like a snowman?" "It takes a few minutes for the powder to work," Fanika growled. Her nose began to tickle from the powder that had landed in her nostrils. With a sudden shudder, she exploded in a sneeze that sent Spike scrambling under the kitchen table. When the dust settled, Archibald opened his eyes and looked at his sister in amazement. "It worked!" Fanika cried. "I did it!" Archibald rubbed his eyes. The voice sounded like Fanika, but she no longer looked like his sister. The powder had changed her. She was short and round, with a hat and a little white beard. "What do you think?" Fanika asked, spinning around so that Archibald could get a good look. "I don't know what to think," Archibald answered. "I don't even know what you are." "I'm a niece," Fanika answered. "Well, not a real niece, but the magic powder makes me look just like one." "Oh, Fanika, you should wear the disguise all the time," Archibald said gleefully. "Don't be ridiculous. Nieces are ugly. Pugh! Now pass me the powder and get out of here. I have to hurry to the White Palace. This disguise won't last forever." Archibald passed Fanika the pouch, which contained several canisters of troll powders. He waved goodbye as she left the castle. "I wish there was something I could do to help the little niece, Spike," Archibald said. "Fanika is up to no good. She's probably going to capture that poor niece who lives in the White Palace, and then take him here and throw him in the dungeon." Then he smiled. "Or maybe Fanika will have a change of heart and let me have the niece as a friend. It gets so lonely around here sometimes without a friend." Spike looked at Archibald with his big, wet eyes and began to whimper. "Sorry, Spike. Of course you're my friend. You're my best friend. But it would also be nice to make friends with a niece. Then I would have 2 friends. We could have twice as much fun." "One friend sure is better than none. 2 friends, just double the fun. Candy tastes better when you're 2, so tuck a piece in your shoe. My friend always makes me smile when I'm sad once in a while. 2 friends sure are better than none. 3 friends just triple the fun. Making mud pies is better when you're 3, especially if you drop them from a tree. My friends always make me smile when I'm sad every once in a while." While Archibald was thinking about making new friends, Miranda was dining with her uncle at the royal palace. "Miranda, you're not eating lunch." "I'm not hungry." "You have to eat to keep up your strength if you're going to build a Christmas palace," he said. "But I don't want to build a palace," Miranda answered slothfully, toying with the peas on her plate. Chloe knew Miranda wanted more than anything else to build the palace. "Now listen to me, Miranda. As long as I am here, under house arrest, I can't use my magic powers. I may need your assistance. You must build this Christmas palace. You won't be much help to me if you're also under house arrest. Agreed?" Miranda was silent for a moment. Finally, she said, "All right, Uncle Chloe. I'll do it for you. But I don't understand why you let the prince bully you the way he does." Chloe began to chuckle. "This isn't the first time the prince has clipped my wings." Miranda looked up from her plate. "You mean he's treated you like this before?" "Many times. It's important for me to rebel once in a while to show the prince that other people have opinions different than his own. Usually these lockups are short and don't interfere too much with my work. But this time, I'm worried. I think the trolls of the Glen are up to no good, and I'm powerless to stop them." "The trolls of the Glen?" "Yes, I think they plan to steal the Niece handbook from the Niece Palace. The Nieces are in great danger, and all because of the magic compass." Now Miranda was really confused. "The magic compass? What does that have to do with nieces?" "If I hadn't made the magic compass, the nieces would be safe." Miranda began to laugh. "Oh, Uncle Chloe, you haven't told me stories about the nieces since I was a child. Those bedtime stories always help me fall asleep, but I'm an adult now." Chloe sighed. He remembered that neither Miranda nor the prince believed in nieces or trolls. He would have to find another way to help the niece friends on his own. I'm going to go and tell the prince that I will build his Christmas palace, Miranda said, getting up from the table. She kissed her uncle on the cheek and turned towards the door. Brr, it's chilly in here, she said. As she passed the fireplace, she snapped her fingers, and the logs burst into a roaring fire. That's better. And you try to tell me you're a second-class wizard, Krill grumbled. You have more magic in your fingertips than I had my whole body at your age. It'll be interesting to see if you're as good of an architect as you are a magician, Miranda. She left the room, wondering the same. Pendulum had finished packing for his trip to the Nice Palace. It was always a pleasure to spend the holidays with Balto, Tandra, and Clipper. Pendulum loved seeing the expression on Clipper's face with each new mechanical toy his uncle made for him. But Pendulum was also eager to have a word with his brother Balto about the mysterious disappearances of the palaces. He was sure it had something to do with the trolls of the glen. He sat at his table in the workshop and ate some cheese. It was important to have something in his tummy before a long journey. As he put the first mouthful into his lips, he heard a knock on the door and went to the window and peeked out. Tighten my gaskets, it's Balto, Pendulum said to himself, puzzled. But why is he here? I'm supposed to visit him. He swung open the door to greet his brother. Come in, Balto, come in. Balto, that is Fanica in disguise as Balto, looked around at the clocks tinking in his workshop. What pretty clock, she said in her nasal voice. Balto, you sound as though you have a cold. Come and have a piece of cheese. It always helps clear up colds. Fanica sat at the table and sniffed at the block of cheese. In one gulp, she downed the entire plate. You must have been hungry after your trip, Pendulum said. Yes, hungry, Fanica answered. Balto, did you come here because of all the strange things happening the last couple of days? Yes, strange thing, but first, more food. Pendulum passed her another slice of cheese. My, what a fine tail you have, Balto, she said, admiring the long furry tail that had peeked out from Balto's trouser. Wait a minute. Nieces don't have tails. And before Pendulum could say anything, Fanica opened her pouch and sprinkled him with sleeping powder. He fell fast asleep. Sweet dreams, Pendulum, she said, stuffing him into a sack and hoisting it over her shoulders. That was close. This camelish powder must be starting to wear off. She glanced in a mirror and saw her old familiar self coming back. Not a minute too soon. She took one long look at the room and spied Pendulum's shiny oiling can sitting on the bench. Trolls love to collect shiny things. What's this, she wondered, testing the oil with her tongue. It tasted good, and stuffed the oiling can in the sack with Pendulum and left the White Palace. What plans did Fanica have for Pendulum, and what would the niece of the Nice Palace do when Pendulum failed to show up for Christmas? And if her Miranda didn't believe in nieces, how could she help Chloe? Until tomorrow, good night.